You are Locked On Nuggets POSTCAST, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your Locked On Nuggets POSTCAST live from Ball Arena. Hope everybody is doing well out there in Nuggets Nation as the fellas take care of business over the Milwaukee Bucks here on Wednesday night, March the 26th. Your final score 127-117. And tonight's episode of your Locked On Nuggets POSTCAST is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off of your first purchase. And he's back, ladies and gentlemen. Nikola Jokic returning to the lineup. And what does he do? What do you think he does? A triple-double for the big fella. He was within spitting distance there late in the fourth quarter, gets over the hump, finishes with 39 points, 10 assists, 10 rebounds, and he picks right up where he left off. He's not going to win the MVP this season. That injury, I think personally, probably ended any hope or desire for that. Not that I think Jokic has much desire for it, but it is nice to see Big Honey, number 15, back out there on the court. And I'll get into some of the big picture thoughts that I have about this game because, look, a win is a win. I'm not going to start off a show with nitpicking and all that kind of stuff. We got to talk about the victory because it was a hard-fought victory for Denver. But when you look at it here, no Giannis, no Damian Lillard, and Milwaukee was in this game till the very end. So I've got some thoughts on that. We'll break that down here after the commercial break in a few minutes. But all in all, nice to have the big fella back out there. You see the impact that he has across the board on the game. Denver's going to score points with or without Nikola Jokic, but they just look so much more cohesive. Things seem to come so much more smooth for this Denver Nuggets team. Obviously, when you have the reigning defending three-time MVP and the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic. And one guy that I think benefited from having Joker back and got off to a hot start and had a game that he needed to have to try to build some momentum here with under 10 games remaining in the regular season is number one, Mr. Michael Porter Jr. He came out fast and furious, knocked down his first three-point shot attempt. He finished 6 of 8 from beyond the arc, good for 23 points tonight. Plus 11 in the box, plus minus a double-double as well from Michael Porter Jr. 10 rebounds for him on the night, adds in 4 assists and 3 steals. So the best game that we've seen from Michael Porter Jr. in quite some time. And, this is a guy that post-All-Star break was shooting right around 30% from three-point land. With a guy that's getting paid as much as he is and as important as he is for this team is frankly unacceptable. So nice to see Michael Porter Jr. get back to doing what we all know he's capable of doing, which is knocking down that three-point shot again tonight. 6 of 8 from deep. Did his thing with a second team leading, or he was second in points tonight for the Nuggets with 23 of them. Absolutely love to see that. Peyton Watson with some nice contributions off the bench tonight. He had himself 12 points, added 7 rebounds, a couple of assists, and 3 blocks. So Peyton Watson, I forget if I said it today I know I said it today on Dover and Cecil, over at 104.3 The Fan, but I've talked about it, I think, time and time again on this show as well, that I think Peyton Watson, I actually caught up with my buddy Troy Rank of the Denver Post coming out of halftime, and we were talking about a myriad of different things, and he just wrote a column for the Post, go check that out, kind of detailing Michael Porter Jr.'s struggles and how he needs to get going. And I've said it, it seems like it's one good MPJ game for every 2 or 3 rough ones. And, since the All-Star break, it's been tough, like I said, for a guy that makes what he makes, for a guy that plays the role that he plays on this team. Denver, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, cannot contend for a championship without Michael Porter Jr. playing like he did tonight. That's just a fact of the matter. So it's nice to see him get into a groove and hopefully try to string together here a few games and try to heat up come playoff time because Denver is going to need it for sure. Relatively quiet night, I guess you could say, for Jamal Murray. He had 17 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. So a nice complete game from Jamal across the board. Christian Brown with a double-double in his own right, 19 and 10, along with 6 assists, a couple of steals. So this was an offensive-driven night for the Denver Nuggets. We'll talk about their defense here in a minute because it was borderline non-existent, especially late in this game. I mean, you saw Doc Rivers throwing a fit on the court, thinking Jokic should have been called for some fouls, transition defense, all the above. And again, it's one thing if that's the case. It's one thing if it's a grind against Milwaukee at full strength. They're down their two best players, Dame and Giannis. And I texted my buddy Jake Shapiro, the fan, after the game, and I was like, a win is a win. Obviously, you'll take it. Denver improves now to 45-28 on the season, 23-12 at home. Unimpressive win, in my opinion. If we're just going to keep it a buck and a stack, this is a game knowing the injury situation for Milwaukee, knowing Jokic was back in the lineup, with Michael Porter Jr. being on point from three. I understand they won by 10. They should have won this game by 20. They should have won this game going away. I mean, this was a game until about a minute and change left in the fourth quarter where Denver was inevitably able to pull away. So, again, I'm not trying to nitpick too much. A win is a win. You like that. But is this team playoff ready? We'll find out. You know, obviously some tough, interesting gut check games coming up for them. They've got Utah, I believe, on Friday. The game that I've got my eye on, though, is next Tuesday with the fearsome Minnesota Timberwolves coming to town. So we'll see how Denver handles that adversity. But for tonight, you absolutely love to see it. One thing defensively, and like I said, we'll get into this on the other side of the commercial here in just a moment. They've got to be better at defending just in general. I mean, Milwaukee, again, with no Dame tonight, shot 43% from three, 16 of 37. The only saving grace for Denver in that category is the fact that they also shot 16 for 37 and 43%. So they were able to match Milwaukee in the three-point shooting tonight. But it's going to come down to defense, folks. It is going to come down to defense. Denver also outshot Milwaukee from the field. Good 49 for 90. That's good for 54%. Milwaukee 46 for 89, 51.7%. And Denver, without Giannis, was able to take advantage on the boards as well. They out-rebound them 46-39. More assists, 36-30. Turned the ball over one less time, 11-10. And they cleaned up on the points in the paint, which you expect as well, 64 and 56, along with the fast break points, 20-5. So, you know, a lot of the DNA that we've seen from the Denver Nuggets in their wins this season, transition offense, three-point shooting, you know, higher or, you know, matching the opponent at the very least, and rebounding, all of those were in effect tonight. But again, this is a game. You're happy about the outcome. You're happy to see Joker back. We'll get into that here in a moment as well. Hopefully he's back for good. You know, hopefully that week and a half off did him well, gets him rested, ready to go now for this home stretch and the inevitable playoff run that is looming around us right now. But this is a game that Denver, I think, is going to be able to look back on and give themselves a little bit of a pat on the back, but also know that they still have some work to do. So with that, let me hit my first break. When we come back, we'll dive in to some of the numbers here from Milwaukee. We'll get a little state of the union here on Denver's defense. Is this team playoff ready? I see we got one comment here from my man Fernando. Go ahead and drop some comments if you're watching live. Also, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button as well. Right, really helps me out here on your Locked On Nuggets postcast. Let me know, is Denver ready for the playoffs? Give me your thoughts on this game. We'll go back and forth and have a good time here on your Locked On Nuggets postcast. All right, you guys, let me tell you about our friends over at Gametime. There's nothing like watching basketball live. The energy of the crowd, the sound of the sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting courtside. Russell Wilson out there with in his new town, playing for the New York Giants. He was out there at Madison Square Garden tonight. If you want to catch a game in person, Gametime makes getting picks easier than ever. Gametime's new feature, Gametime Picks, filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. Easy ticket shopping, guys. I just checked out the Gametime app. I've used it a ton, and there are amazing deals on some huge matchups coming up. You've got opening day for the Rockies next week as well. You got super deals on Gametime. Gametime Picks even highlights super deals, giving you the best bang for your buck, plus some peace of mind with seat views before you buy, no surprise fees, and a lowest price guarantee. You can book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA or LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, welcome on back into your Locked On Nuggets postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro, broadcasting live from Ball Arena. I'm up here in the 300 level, the press box. Watch the game with a bird's eye view here tonight, and thankfully it was a victory for the Denver Nuggets in a stretch of the season that has been a bit of a house of horrors for them in the last week and a half without Nikola Jokic. Some good wins, Golden State, some terrible losses, Washington, Portland. Like, what is going on with this Denver Nuggets team? But hopefully tonight is a sign of things to come as they try to finish out this regular season on a high note, with tonight being that 127-117 victory. You guys can follow me on social media at Media by AP. Also hit that like button, smash that subscribe button as well. That way you guys never, ever miss an episode of your Locked On Nuggets postcast. My man Fernando, hope you're doing well, brother, says not a very inspiring win. I agree. And then he follows it up saying definitely not ready in regards to the playoffs, but we have 8 more games to work up momentum as long as we don't get the Wolves first round. Keep your fingers crossed, knock on wood. It might be Wolves in 5 if they meet up with them in the first round. And I don't know how it changes here tonight, but I do know that heading into this matchup, that is the most likely scenario, assuming everything shakes out. I believe it's right under a 50% chance that Denver's going to end up drawing Minnesota there in the first round, which would just be a disaster. And that's what's so interesting about this playoff run for Denver, is I've been talking about it with some fellow media members and fans alike. It really is going to depend on the matchups. Last year you saw Denver go pedal to the metal to the very end to try to secure that home court advantage. We'll see if they've learned from their mistakes. They're not as good of a team as they were last year and obviously the year prior where they won the championship. But I think for Denver, it's less about seeding and more about who they're going to play come playoffs. I mean, if you draw Houston, they're not going to get them in the first round. But if you draw Golden State, if you draw the Clippers, you feel pretty good about your chances. If you draw Minnesota, yikes. I mean, I was talking about that with Cecil today on the radio, and he asked me, like, are you afraid of Minnesota? And I said, yeah, how could you not be afraid of Minnesota? They've had Denver's number. But again, not time to have the firm playoff conversation, but I think to kind of weave it into tonight's game. This team ain't playoff ready based off the effort I saw tonight. I mean, again, no Dame, no Giannis doesn't mean you should just be able to take your foot off the gas. I mean, this is a game that Denver should have won going away. And I brought it up, Milwaukee tonight, 16 of 37 from 3, good for 43.2%. I mean, that's just unacceptable, especially with no Dame. I mean, looking at the numbers tonight, Taurean Prince killed him, 3 of 4. Gary Trent Jr. hit 4 of 11, so not the best efficiency, but still knocked down 4 shots. AJ Green off the bench, 5 of 9 from 3. Ryan Rollins off the bench, 2 of 3 from 3. So again, you need to see them clean that up, because you know what's going to happen? Maybe they can get away with this in the first round. They can't get away with this against Minnesota, the Lakers, or Oklahoma City should they match up in the playoffs. You can't just outscore teams come playoff time. And I think that Denver, and I know fans have been talking about this as well. Oh, they flip a switch. Oh, they're dialed in come playoff time. Don't worry too much. Don't read into the regular season. Jokic came out and said it. I think it was the Washington game right before he got hurt. I forget. They all kind of blur together right now. You are what your record says you are. Jokic doesn't believe that you can just flip a switch and go from competitive to championship mode. And that's where I'm so curious. I'm just in wait-and-see mode with this Denver Nuggets team, man. That's exactly where I'm at. I think they've got potential. I think they've got talent. Like I said, they're not as good, in my opinion, as they were last year. But when you have the best player in the world, anything's possible. That's where we're at tonight. But all in all, it's a nice 127-117 victory. Denver gets their 46th win of the year. And just to kind of put this in perspective, Denver in the championship season lost only 7 games at home and 8 last year. So they've already eclipsed that by multiple games. And there's a chance that Denver might drop a few more here at home. Obviously, you don't want that to be the case, but just looking at their upcoming schedule, folks, I mean, they have a couple of tough home games here to round out the regular season. Obviously, you got Utah on Friday. You should win that game. But Minnesota next Tuesday is going to be fascinating. That's an 8 p.m. game on TNT. Keep an eye on that one. So that's a coin flip game. You've got Indiana at home in April. Indiana's a pretty good team. We'll see about that. And you got Memphis, who jury's still out on Memphis. But looking at the remaining schedule here for Denver, Utah, Minnesota, San Antonio, Golden State, Indiana, Sac, Memphis, and Houston. 2 games against non-playoff teams. So this is the time for the Denver Nuggets to sharpen their tools and get locked in. I'm not worried about the offense. The offense will take care of itself. You even saw that with Nikola Jokic out. They were able to, do what they needed to do on offense. Can you buy in on defense? Can Michael Malone get through to his players? And Jamal Murray talked about this after a recent loss that, the coach can only say so much. It's up to the players to kind of take that message and execute it and execute the game plan. That's the reality of the situation here with this Denver Nuggets team. Can they execute the game plan? Can they clamp down on defense? So it's a win. You feel good about that. An unimpressive win at that, in my opinion. I'm sure Ryan, Matt Moore, Swipa on your Locked On Nuggets podcast are going to have plenty to say about that. But when it's all said and done tonight, Denver gets the job done against the Giannis and Dameless Milwaukee Bucks. Your final score here, 127-117. But all right, I think that's going to do it for me. Live from Ball Arena. Happy to be back in the saddle here, folks. At Ball. It's been a while since I've been here. Been dealing with some work stuff behind the scenes. Make sure to follow me on social media at Media by AP. And on your way out, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. Enjoy the rest of the regular season. I'll be here the rest of the way as well. Playoff time. You got the Sweet 16 starting up tomorrow. You got opening day. You got the Avs in a playoff push as well. So this is kind of the peak season for sports viewing, in my opinion. So enjoy it. And make sure to hit that subscribe button. That way you guys never, ever miss an episode of your Locked On Nuggets postcast. Denver gets the job done. The big fella's back. We'll see if they can finish the regular season strong. Have a good night, folks.